Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Insider Insights. We're going to give it maybe another minute or two to let people trickle in before we get started. Sam, do you have any fun upcoming weekend plans?
Yeah, getting ready to head to Bozeman next week. So we're doing our
Oh, yeah.
team retreat, as you know, and yeah, I just look forward to seeing the whole team. I just got to see them at XYPN live, so I feel a little spoiled. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's nothing like going back to back with seeing everybody. It's fun. And it's definitely fall season here in Bozeman. It's nice and cool, but the sun is out and it's gorgeous and all the trees and leaves have been turning, so it's a really good time to come up here.
that's my favorite. I love that. Yeah, it should be a fun week. Just getting to just be in the room with the team. It's always seems like a really good use of time. We always come away with a lot of good insights, and we do hackathons and team events, and we've got some cool stuff planned for next week. So I'm excited for that. I'm gonna miss my family, of course.
Of
Hard being away,
course.
but it's good.
Awesome. Okay, well, we can go ahead and get started. So, again, everybody, thank you for attending today's Insider Insights. AI is changing SEO and how to show up when your ideal clients are searching. We're thrilled to be joined today by our very own Sam McHugh, Senior Director of Sales and Marketing Operations at XYPN. And Sam will be breaking down how modern search engines are evaluating your website and how to position yourself in front of the right people at the right moment. And we'll also be learning how to create content that answers real client questions, clearly communicate your niche and process, and adapt when search traffic changes. And you'll also get some simple tips for writing trust-building content and know which SEO shortcuts to avoid, especially with compliance in mind. As a reminder, the Q&A tab is located at the bottom of your screen. You can upvote questions as appropriate, but please be sure to drop your questions as they come up, and Sam will make sure to get to those questions. And then also be sure to join us on our next Insider Insights on November 13th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. From overlooked to overbooked, 5 steps to building a seven-figure advisory firm. And be sure to grab your ticket to XYPN Alive 2026 in San Diego, California from September 29th to October 1st. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Sam to get us started.
Hey, thanks, Maddie. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm really excited to revisit this topic. This was something that I spoke at XYPN Live about just a little over a week ago, and it's already changing in that time. I mean, new insights come to light. The AI LLM space is a battleground right now. And I've got some pretty interesting takeaways for everybody that not a lot has changed in terms of what you should be doing. But I want to go over some things about related to just processes and actionable steps that you can take today that will scale. So you're not constantly revisiting this topic and redoing work. So without further ado, I'll share my screen here and we can dive in. So my name is Sam McHugh. I am the Senior Director of Sales and Marketing Operations at XYPN. Do a lot of SEO for the company, craft a lot of content and SEO strategy from the back end. And this is a topic that I'm really passionate about. I've been doing SEO for probably over 10 years now, in all forms. And it never quits, and it doesn't happen in a vacuum. I like to say that a lot, because you can do a lot of really good SEO and it'll have a different impact based on the marketplace and based on what's happening out there. So, um, what I like to do is I play with ChatGPT all the time and Perplexity and all these different systems to just kind of see what they're capable of. And so this is my headshot that I got taken a while ago, and I thought let's see if AI can zazz it up. And this is kind of, let's see here. This is what happened. So it's not perfect, right? Like that's not me. I actually kind of like this one better. But AI is evolving and all of these LLMs are ramping up their capability. And from day to day, with each version release, you will notice different shifts in how they behave. So we like to think of it as a thought partner, and we don't like to let it do the work for us because this is what you get, something that's not real. That is not a real person. Um, so yeah, I really like this article from Wealth Tender. Brian Thorpe wrote it not too long ago, and what it's showing is where currently in their surveys people are where advisors are getting their clients from. So referrals, I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Search engines are still in the top two. And then way down on the list there, we've got AI search tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity a little bit. So people are starting to pick this adoption up of these tools. And if you haven't read this article, I really recommend it. It's a good read, and Brian did a really thorough job of showing how advisors are finding their clients. But this is just going to show that SEO is not dead. You see a lot of clickbaity titles out there showing SEO is dead, and it's not. It's just changing, and it's changing into by 2030, they anticipate that ChatGPT will surpass Google. So it's diminishing. So the constant blogging and all of these old, SEO tactics that we've preached for 20 years now are having a diminishing effect. And what you want to be doing is displaying authority and showing your sources and doing these things that give signals to these LLMs that you are an authority on the topic. And by 2030, PPC land has surmised that that will be the inflection point where everybody's going to be completely focusing on ChatGPT, Perplexity, whoever's winning the war of the LLMs at that point. And really, how do you do that? Well, there is going to be a shift in the buyer's journey. And if you're not familiar with the buyer's journey, what it is there's an awareness, a consideration, and a decision stage that every consumer takes when they're making a purchase decision. The awareness decision is essentially, in a nutshell, I have a problem, but I don't have a name for it. And so they're searching for how to solve that problem. The consideration stage is, okay, I have a name for my problem, and now I'm actively looking for solutions to solve this problem. And the decision stage is when they're looking to make a purchase decision. So, um, what this is going to look like and is starting to look like in this LLM AI AEO space is keyword intent is really going to be how you map to that buyer's journey. So informational intent is, and I say keyword, this got pointed out to me. Keywords are phrases, so they're not just single words, but the searcher wants to find just general information. So, how does a Roth IRA work? Or what is a fiduciary financial advisor? Really good informational keywords. But what's happening now is that awareness stage, you used to blog, you used to create really good content to answer those questions and show up search first in a Google search. Now, an LLM is just going to find your blog and rip the information out of there and keep the user in that platform, in ChatGPT or in the Google Answers section that is powered by Gemini. So no longer are you going to get awareness traffic. And so that awareness, consideration, and decision stage is being segmented even further. And the awareness stage is a little more out of your control. So that's why this informational content and these keywords are important so that you show up there. Then you want to move to having content alongside your informational content that has specific navigational intent. So they want to find specific pages on your website. That's navigational intent. Transactional intent is going to also drive traffic. So they can't buy something through ChatGPT yet. I'm not saying that's not on the horizon, but anything could happen. But hire a fee-only financial advisor near me is a transactional keyword phrase that somebody will have to go to your website. So having those types of transactional keywords is important. And then commercial keywords. So best financial advisor for millennials is a commercial keyword. They want to make a purchase. So that's that decision stage right there, the commercial intent. And so the the boxes here with check marks, those are all keywords that will help you convert traffic. So they come to your website and they fill out a form or they purchase or they book a meeting with you. The informational keywords are good for showing up in the LLMs. So now I really want to outline two new terms in the SEO space, and that is AEO and GEO. So AEO is answer engine optimization, and it's referring to the AI overview that you see in Google. So this is an answer engine, so it's in the search engine, but this is taking up more real estate on the top search results page now. And even in the last week, Google has now limited their search results, the organic search results, to only the top 10. No longer do you have 100 pages to go through of websites that will show up because there's just not enough real estate anymore. So they're getting better at becoming an answer engine instead of a search engine. GEO, generative engine optimization, is essentially your LLM platforms. So ChatGPT. So the good news is that all of the work you do is good for both of these and for SEO. So none of that's changing. You're not going to have to triple your output of SEO and GEO and AEO, but they are defining these differently over time. And this slide is that buyer's journey. So the traditional side is the awareness, consideration, decision stage. And then now this AI driven side with GEO and AEO, you're going to have answers come up in that awareness stage in the LLM. And then when the buyer is in the consideration stage, that's when they're going to get to your site and then hopefully make a decision. So this is just a quick crash course on the shift in the traditional marketing methodology behind the buyer's journey. Um, so like, let's go back to these keywords because I know that's a lot to take in. How do I start an RA is an informational keyword we see a lot here. So I picked that one. And you'll see a ChatGPT output. So this is good GEO here. At the bottom, I highlighted that you notice XYPN and Kitsis.com are both cited as sources for this query. And that means that Kitsis and XYPN show authority for this specific topic through content that is cited, that has links to it, and generally just has a good presence on the web. So that's how you're going to be showing up in these LLMs in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and so forth. And really, it's going to, if you haven't signed up for a Google Search Console account, it's attached to Google Analytics. And what it does is it shows you of the traffic coming to your site, what are they typing in if it's available? Some of it's protected, but you can see the actual things people are typing in. And there is a type of keyword called a branded search term. And that basically means they type in your name in the search term. So it's branded, it's got your brand in it. And that's going to become the new norm. You're going to see a rise in branded search terms to your website because of this buyer's journey shift, because people are not typing in the informational question. They're learning about you in the platform that they're typing the question into, and then they're going to navigate to your site using your name. So they go from AI to a branded search term into that consideration stage where they're considering working with you. So in the past, branded search has been kind of underwhelming to see because you want to capture new eyeballs and you want to see where people are finding you from new search terms that are related to you but aren't you. And now we're going to have to focus on these branded terms because I think they're going to be learning about you in platforms where you have little to no control of seeing what they're typing in the awareness stage. So all of the images in the spirit of AI, all the images in this presentation were created by AI. And this is a kind of chaotic image of how AI answers questions. It goes through all the research papers out there. It tracks how your content is ranking. There's data sets out there that are attached to algorithms that feed into the code. And then there's news articles, PR, and lots of publications out there that you can be cited in. And then essentially that all feeds into how your content ranks and how these AI tools will look at your content and establish authority. But this is again chaotic. So like what are the four keys that we need to focus on to getting sourced in these AI tools? So that's authority and EAT. We'll talk about that. The clarity of your content, the depth that it goes into, and the readability. I mean, is it readable for people and search engines? And spoiler alert, search engines, or sorry, LLMs read a lot like we do. So if it's confusing, that's not a good look. So let's talk about EAT. Expertise, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Okay, acronyms get me every time. So this means that basically boils down to how authoritative you are on the topic. Are you answering a specific question that's being asked, or are you talking more broadly about something? I can say from experience that if you're answering a specific question, you have a lot better chance of getting ranked when those questions are being asked. But if you have a very high level question that you're answering, like what's an example? What's a Roth IRA? Super informational phrase and a lot of competition out there for it, then your authority on the topic might not be as good as Wealth Tender or Forbes or just any of these massive publications that you're competing against to be shown. So you want to focus on the authority that you have in the questions that you're answering. The clarity of the content is really important. So it needs to have a good structure. It needs to basically answer the question right away, and then you need to back it up with why and cite your sources. And it's good to have different types of content mixed in with your answer. So videos, images, interactive things. You want to look at the clarity of your sentence structure. And I'm always a big fan of just talking like a person. So if you're having AI write this content for you, which is very popular these days, um, it knows. It knows, and who's to say that that won't be penalized in the future? So I always say humans want human responses, and LLMs know that humans are using them to get human responses. So using LLMs as a thought partner to create content is good, but make sure that your structure and your clarity is in check and that you read it and you know what you're talking about, but maybe have someone else read it and make sure that that they understand it and that it's not just structured a certain way that doesn't make sense. Now, it is important to have in-depth content, but that doesn't mean just writing really long blogs. SEO in the past favored really long blogs for some reason. If anyone on this call has read a Kitsis blog in its entirety, he kills it for SEO because they're sometimes 4,000 words. The shift that's happening now is that these LLMs are reading that whole blog, and the easier it is to read and the quicker they can read it while still having cited sources and authority in there, the better. So you want to make sure that your content is in depth, but not too lengthy for the sake of being lengthy. And then credibility. I've alluded to this several times up to this point, but credibility essentially is why should I trust this person about what they're talking about? So there are a few key indicators you can have in terms of credibility. You can say you can cite your accreditations or your titles. So John Smith, CFP, is a great way to show credibility on the topic. And having those listed out in the article that you're writing or just in general, it's a signal that says, hey, I know what I'm talking about. Also, what plays into credibility is other websites that cite you. So if you write for another publication, that is a great way to have your name pop up again and again across the internet. And that's a big indicator that you're credible. So, and then we talked about readability and just making sure that you're talking as yourself is important. And metadata. Aha, scary word. We are not all that technical. Some of us are, some of us are not. And so I understand where everybody's coming from different experiences in building websites and having structure and the back end code, but essentially what metadata is, what this llms.txt is something that was just rolled out in the last week. And it's a file on your website that is not public facing. Nobody's going to find this without knowing how to find it. And it essentially tells these LLMs, here's my site, here's how to crawl it. So it's another thing that you can do. And I put a screenshot up here of I went to ChatGPT and I said, how can I implement llms.txt? That's the metadata file for Wix. And so without knowing how to do it, you can get walked through by ChatGPT or your tool of choice how to implement this on your site. For WordPress, I know it's as simple as a plugin that does it for you. For Wix, there's a pretty in-depth instruction list on how to do that. So just use these tools as a thought partner to improve on your SEO. You don't have to go it alone anymore. You can say, even if you're coming with no experience, you can say, explain this to me as if I was a 10th grader or a fifth grader. And it will give you just exactly the speed of help that you need in implementing this. But this is a new one. I added this slide last night because it just came up in the conversation of GEO. And it's really important to make sure that it's going to be more and more important to make sure that this is on your site. And I see this as a quick win. So, yeah, cool. And let's go into what does ChatGPT say. I use ChatGPT to fact check myself and to help me get better at learning how to rank for ChatGPT. It doesn't pull actual data, but it will give you actionable steps based on what everybody's saying out there in the world. So you want to cast a wide net and then prioritize authoritative, high quality sources. The credibility signals that we talked about. So having yourself in publications, government sources or official sources with .gov, .edu, any of those websites, if they source you or cite you in any way, that's a really huge signal. .gov and .edu backlinks to your site have always been a huge signal that you're providing the right answer throughout SEO, and they're very coveted links to get. But now just getting your name on articles on with those .govs or .edus is very important. So the backlink is great, but for SEO, but the just having your name there with your credentials is a huge win. And then we need to talk about recency here. The 90% of the top ranking content for these LLMs was updated in the last 10 months. So that means that you need to be going through and updating your content, making sure you're not citing data from 2 years ago or even a year ago in some cases. When the topic is refreshed in the public eye, you should be updating your content to reflect that. You don't have to rewrite it, just update it. And it's a huge signal that you're taking care of your information to these LLMs and that you are really committed to providing the most authoritative answer on it. So use ChatGPT to fact check yourself, to make articles better, to find better sources, to find content that's out there that you might want to be cited in. You can use it as a thought partner in that as well. All right, so let's move into what type of content should you create? It's got to be data driven. So that means that you want to analyze it, provide stats and numbers, and cite your sources on the data too. So you don't have to do the analysis yourself. But if, for example, I am pulling data from a Wealth Tender article, I'm going to say this is from Wealth Tender. It was written by Brian Thorpe, and he is an authority on the topic too. It's good for him, and it's good for you. The visual content is always great, and what it does is when people are in that awareness stage and they see an infographic or something that pops up in a little featured snippet, they're going to want to see that more in depth, and you might get them onto your site. So if you create infographics and diagrams and charts that just don't scale well inside those platforms, that's a way you can get people to your website. Side-by-side comparisons are great. So if you're evaluating two options in your article or in your content, having a chart that gives side-by-side comparisons. We've all seen them on any given software site. They have little check boxes and it's a grid and it shows what this version has and what this version doesn't have. Very simple, easy to parse, but having those side-by-side comparisons is a great way to get people from the LLM to your website. Also, interactive content. Um, we focus on a lot at XYPN, we focus on a lot of like quizzes and calculators and things that people can engage with. It's good for your website health, your domain authority, and it's good to get people out. They're not going to take the quiz in ChatGPT. They're going to go to your site. And if it's authoritative enough, ChatGPT might say, you want to take this quiz. It could happen. So interactive content is great too. And then if you are a advisor focusing on a local area, it's very important to have local based content. So um, that could look like information about your state or what you need to know. I like to use the example. My wife's a nurse, so I use the example of nurses a lot. I say, what should nurses in the state of Idaho know about paying off student loans? Um, that that would be a really good local type of content, and you could get sourced and cited in ChatGPT because you're becoming an authority on that. So it will be important. And the source for this laundry list of content to create came from Fire and Spark. There I go, citing my sources. Fire and Spark is a Boston-based, strictly SEO agency, and Dale Bertrand is the CEO of that company. He is a phenomenal resource on this topic, especially since it is evolving and growing. I went to see a talk of his last year in Boston and came away completely blown away with how the landscape is changing, but also with just really actionable steps about these intent-based keywords and how to convert this traffic. So if you're more interested in this topic, definitely check out Fire and Spark. Shout out. So um, I've talked about a lot of things to do, things that are important, definitions, acronyms, but I want to simplify it down too here. Think of it this way. Google tries to rank everything. ChatGPT is trying to find and cite only what's most relevant and trustworthy to answer your specific question. And guess what? I had ChatGPT simplify this for me. So it came up with a really good response to how the internet is being organized by these two driving forces. And it's changing every day. Now that we're down to 10 search results, Google is seeing this and no longer putting as much emphasis on trying to rank everything, but also trying to provide what's relevant and trustworthy. So, with that, I do want to have some time to take this is a meaty topic, so I want to take a few questions here, and I will go into the Q&A. See, so Maddie, I think oh, there it is. So I don't see any questions in the Q&A
It looks
yet.
like we got a question in the chat.
Oh, cool.
But what if you are a national company and how can you get noticed for local content?
Yeah, that is a great question. I would say the strategy there is not too different from how you would do it in traditional SEO. Now, having local pages on your website, so yoursite.com/Houston, Texas, is a great way to show that you have a local presence in that area. But if you're a national company, you would want to build that strategy out for all the areas you service or are focused on. So where your target audience is densest can be a great way to do that. But that's a good question. And again, like writing for these specific areas is a strong signal that you have the authority to talk on it. You also, if you're a national company, um, have a broader authority outside of just the local area. So it can work two ways for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that was it for questions for now. Um, as a reminder, if you have any questions that pop up, please just be sure to put them in the Q&A and we'll get them answered.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for attending. I really appreciate it. And I know this is a big, meaty topic, but if you want to revisit this, this will be posted on our website. And I look forward to revisiting this topic more frequently in the future as it changes. It's very interesting to me. And I hope you guys got out of this what you wanted to get out of it. You can take it in small bites or large chunks. But yeah, I really appreciate you showing up and hearing why this is going to be more and more important. Oh, we had one more question come in. What would you consider to be the best first step? Great question. Um, First step, plug your website into ChatGPT and say, how can I help my site rank better for LLMs? That's a first step. It'll give you a list of actionable items, and you can take it at your own pace and go into each item. And a lot of them were covered here today. It'll scan your whole site, know what you're about. It'll tell you how other sites are doing it. And I would say that that's what I would do first is just take it easy on yourself. It doesn't have to happen overnight, and it's going to change tomorrow in certain ways. So, um, fantastic question. Yeah, I wanted to get to that before we closed out. So, Maddie.
Awesome. It looks like another question just came in. As we are new and building our website, do you recommend a specific website builder tool that is easier, more SEO, AEO friendly?
Yeah, I understand where that question is coming from, right? You're drinking out of a fire hose trying to figure out what's the best platform, and are you making mistakes now that you might pay for later and should have considered? I think they are all very competitive and adaptive. So we see a lot of our members on Wix sites, and I think that's probably the easiest one. It's very drag and drop, um, and it's very I think it's pretty cost effective. WordPress is another one that you can take at your own pace, but it has more scalability. I see a lot of larger sites being able to use the WordPress platform and scale them out. And that's one that has been around forever and is not going away. So, and it's probably the most customizable platform out there, but you need to be very careful with WordPress. It's very easy to break. So, yeah, I would say Wix and WordPress are the two that come to my mind.
Awesome. And
And that
then,
is not, we are not sponsored by either. So that is not a total, that's just a recommendation. If I hire someone to do this for me, what do I look for? I get this question a lot, and um, I would look for somebody who knows your business. That's probably the most important thing. There's a lot of agencies out there. There are agencies that will overpromise and under-deliver, or they'll just simply promise things that they can't deliver. So SEO is specifically something that I get cold emails every day. We're going to get your traffic up. We're going to help you rank. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I don't believe them. Anyone that claims to be an expert in this space, myself included, is not taking into consideration that really the only true experts are the CEOs of these companies building the darn things. So um, you can be a student of it. And I would look for somebody, a contractor or someone that, or a company that considers themselves students of AEO and GEO. That is a good, strong signal that you can trust them in my book. So
awesome.
great question.
Yeah, great question. Okay, it looks like that might have been it for the questions. Sam, is there anything else you want to add before we close out?
No, I said it all. I don't want to repeat myself, but thank you all for the questions. It got really exciting there at the end, getting some good questions that are going to help you guys. So that's what it's all about, trying to create value for you. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or have any more conversations, I am always down to nerd out about this topic. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Well, again, thank you all for joining our Insider Insights today. And again, Sam, thank you. If you are interested in scheduling a call with an XYPN success strategist to learn more about how to launch and grow your own firm with XYPN, please find a time that works with you and the link in the chat, and one of our team members will reach out. There will be a brief feedback survey at the end. We would love if you would suggest any topics of interest and let us know what you thought. And be sure to join us at our next Insider Insights, November 13th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And the link to register for that will also be in the chat. Again, Sam, thank you so much for joining us today and have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.